Greetings and welcome, people. It's been just a few days since the last ride, and the video from that hasn't been edited yet, so it hasn't even been posted. I'm just about to later today to publish the shakedown ride number 2 video. There will be one more shakedown ride video, and that will be the end of those. I'm sure you'll be glad to hear, listening to me waffling on about all the things I've done. But this video is going to have one more bit of waffle relating to those things. Two main points. First one, minor point, I made quite a point of talking about all the various things I did, and even put a summary list at the end of the last video of all the various bits and bobs. I think it's the last video, shakedown day 1 I think it was, and of all the various things I bought for basically recommissioning Babe after an 8-month lay-up. I just wanted to clarify that I didn't just sit down at my computer the day before I started to work, or a few days before I started to work, and just started hitting buy now or add to basket or whatever, and all sorts of things left, right and centre all over the place. No, I was, oh dear, what's going on up here? I bought all those various bits and bobs, with the exception of a couple of the items like the engine panels. I bought all those things over a period of 3 to 4 months. When I'm shopping for bits for the bike, or even my car or anything else like that, I tend to look on places like eBay and Amazon, and if I see anything that is suitable, or desirable, or just fun to have, I'll add them to a watch list or a wish list. So I've generally found that if you do that, after a period of time, you'll find that the vendor will make you an offer of a lower price, or the item will go on special deal or something. Especially if quite a few people are watching it. That's particularly relevant to eBay, but so I tend to wait until the things I want are on offer, on special deal or reduce or whatever. Oh, excuse me, I should have gone the other way, I think. And then I'll buy them. So basically I bought the oil and oil filter on eBay when the price was, I think it was 10% off or something like that. The various other bits and bobs, I just shopped around to find the best price. The battery for a motorcycle parts warehouse, I shopped around. I look at various places on Amazon, and another battery vendor is Tainer batteries. They're quite good, but I found that motorcycle parts warehouse were doing an offer on the battery I wanted. I got it, I think it was about £10 or £15 below list price, below their normal price, so that was quite good. And that's how I basically went about it. So I knew the various things that were going to be happening. I guessed that the battery that was in the bike originally, or at the time, was probably not going to be serviceable for much longer, if at all. So yes, I tend to buy things in advance, so a little bit of anticipation and intelligent guesswork, thinking about what you might need to do, and get what you need when you can find it at a decent price. This is where bikes come into their own. So yes, no sudden splurge buying or anything like that. Bought as and when they're available, and then just basically put into operation at the right time. And the other thing was that in both the shakedown 1 and 2 videos, I made quite a lot of comments about the possibility that I didn't think there was anything wrong with the bike that would cause any problems with the MOT. Yeah, I think I posted some little teaser comments on the video at those relevant points saying, yeah, right, okay. So as you can probably guess, yeah, there was a problem. And I don't think it will come as a shock to anyone to find out that the problem was, yet again, the front brake. I was so sure I had got that completely ironed out. Everything was secure. It seemed to be, to me, to be working fine. But when the MOT tester got it on the rolling road to test the braking efficiency, the rear brake was absolutely perfect, held braking efficiency absolutely rock steady, but the front brake, the braking efficiency was dancing about all over the place. Now basically they have to be able to maintain the braking efficiency within a range of 15%. So if your braking efficiency even fluctuates a little bit, as long as it's from say 60% to 75% within that range, or 55% to 70%, whatever, something like that, then it's a pass. And the first time they tested it, the needle on the meter was just flying about all over the place. So that was a fail. So I basically had to quickly take the bike home. Well, actually, before I got to that point, we both looked at what was going on, because the shop where I take it, the guy is a biker, and his main concern is keeping bikes safe and keeping bikes on the road. So he's not going to mess you about and basically declare your bike dangerous or anything if he doesn't think it really is. So we had a look at the brakes, bearing in mind that this bike's got EBC discs on the front. And they went on about 6 years ago. So I was surprised when I found out that I got the brake discs about 6 years ago, so I may not have fitted them the instant I bought them, but it would have been around about that time, so 5 and a half, 6 years ago. And bearing in mind that EBC, you'd expect them to be pretty good, and they were. But it seems, maybe it was due to that 8-month layup, that some corrosion had crept in around the very edge of the disc, on the braking surface, but right at the edge. Now I'd seen this on there and I thought, well, that obviously can't be in the swept area of the pads cover, because the pads would just wipe it off. But the consensus between myself and the MOT tester was that there was enough there to just catch the edge of the pads such that it would affect the braking efficiency. and give the reading. Oh dear, blah 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 blah, losing the ability to speak. So that's when I basically took the bike home, got some 400 grit sandpaper and went round the edges of both discs, cleaned them up, which is surprising that stuff came off with sandpaper, because if the brake pads didn't take it off, then I don't know. But did that, went back to the shop for a retest, went back the long way around to give the brakes a bit of work. They did seem to be much better, and the brake test did in fact show that they were now within spec, or within the test range. Still not great, but just passed. So that was the main reason why there was no, or there will be no, post-MOT celebratory ride, because I didn't go for one. I did start out on one, and I hadn't got very far before the engine started to run really rough, like it wasn't firing on all cylinders. So I thought, okay, abort ride, go home, see what's going on. And when I got the bike home, I looked down and I noticed that fuel was coming out of the overflow vent tube on the right hand set of carburetors. The first overflow, when I first started the bike up after putting it back together, came out of the left overflow vent tube. Now this one was the right. So, oh great, am I going to have to take everything apart again and strip these carbs down and give them a thorough clean? I mean, it was only 8 months and I've never had any problem with contamination in the fuel system on this bike before. So I thought, okay, I'll give it a try. I've got my little bit of wood and my heavy handled screwdriver, put the end of the bit of wood against the side of the right hand pair of carburetors and gave it a good smart tap with the screwdriver, started the bike up again, and the overflow had stopped. So obviously something was sticking a little bit. So at that point I decided to get some fuel system cleaner and conditioner. I ended up with the STP stuff. Nice, Morgan. I mean, the bottle is supposed to treat between, I think it says 70 to 80 litres of fuel. This is a 25 litre tank, and I think there were about 10 litres in there at the time. So I basically stuck half the bottle in, so that it was very concentrated with the fuel that was in there, and then took a little ride round to get that through the system, and then topped up the tank with a bit more fuel to dilute a bit more of what was in there. And then I went home and parked Babe up for a few days to let that marinade, shall we say. So here we are out today. I'm going for a little run out to the Triumph dealership at Washington. Just to give Babe a run and go and do a little bit of window shopping. I decided to go today because even though it's rather warm in the mid 20s again, and the traffic is rather busy, tomorrow is supposed to rain heavily, and Sunday we are off to Eastbourne to meet up with Mrs. Beanstick's cousin and her husband. They're holidaying down there on the event of their 60th wedding anniversary. So many congratulations to them, to Anne and Les. Very unlikely they'll see this, but if anybody who knows them sees this, let them know they got a shout out. And yeah, it's a rather busy day by the look of it. Yeah, I'm not sure which way I'm going to go back. I would have thought, being a Friday afternoon, I suppose everybody who should be in school today, because the teachers are on strike again, everybody who should be in school is taking advantage of having a beautiful sunny day off to go out on the bikes or go out for a drive or whatever. But anyway, yep, the view out the Amberley Valley is beautiful again. Patchwork quilt of fields and hedgerows and little wooded areas. Very pleasant. So yes, ongoing issues with the front brake. It's starting to look like it might be time for replacement discs. I mean, the original discs were on this bike for over 20 years before I changed them. Get these new EBC ones, barely last 5 or 6 years, and I think they're supposed to be stainless steel. So I think I might have a look around, see if I can find some new old stock Triumph OEM. Quite happy to stay with the EBC sintered pads, but the discs I don't think I'll bother with again. They're ridiculously expensive and they don't seem to last. But on other news, or in other news, hopefully in a few days I will be finding out whether Babe is going to get some new tyres fairly soon. Because the guy at the MOT place did say the tyres are still legal, but they're just about finished. And I said, yep, tell me something I didn't know. It's very obvious that they're past their best, although they still have legal tread. The handling is not exactly superb. Come to a bend, go to turn in, it basically feels like the bike wants to fall over. And I have checked the tyre pressures, because low tyre pressures can do the same thing. Tyre pressures are absolutely spot on. So yep, new tyres for Babe. Hopefully in about a week or so. Oh, you're going to pull out now, aren't you, mate? Thank you. Very nice of him. He could have just pulled out. I mean, am I going to argue with him? Am I going to ram him out of the way? No. So yes, hopefully new tyres. I've always had Bridgestones on the bike since I've had it. Came with Bridgestones, I've always stayed with Bridgestones. But this time I think I'm going to go Avons. I'm going to go for the Spirit ST. Andy Mancam on YouTube has had some on his Honda CB1000, I think he has. And he has basically gone all over Europe and UK touring on them, and he seems to be very impressed with them. Oh, excuse me. Yes, different type of bike. I know it's naked, a bit lighter weight than this, but the ST in Spirit ST stands for Sport Tourer, so we'll see how it goes. And at the same time I will be bringing into use the replacement front wheel that I've had sitting in storage for several years. Again, it's new old stock. I bought it some years ago with the anticipation of bringing it into use the next time I needed a new front tyre, and it looks like that is about to come true. There's that plane up there towing something. Don't know. Probably can't see it on the camera. Oh, excuse me. All the crops growing in the fields, on the right hand side here it looks like rapeseed. What our friends across the Atlantic call canola, because they obviously don't like the word rape because of the negative connotations. Fair enough. Obviously the rape in rapeseed doesn't refer to unacceptable behaviour. It derives from another source, which I can't recall at the second, but I'll look it up and I'll put it at the bottom of the screen. Yes, rather, and I think that plane was towing a glider, because I can see another glider now up there. Don't think it will show up on the camera. Excuse me again. So I think I'm going to call that it for this video. I'll probably do another video soon where I go through a bit more about the things I've got planned to do on Babe, as in fixes, refurbishments, repairs, upgrades, that sort of thing. It's not a huge long list, but again it's one of those, or some of those things that not absolutely necessary to be done, but they're things that I know need doing, and because I know they need doing, it just irritates me. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm OCD or anything like that, but I want my Babe to be as good as possible, which probably doesn't go together very well with the fact that I left Babe untended for nearly 8 months. But anyway, that's coming later. So I'll say thank you very much for stopping by, taking a look, and I'll speak to you again on the next one. Cheerio for now. Bye. Good God. A Scannell 3-wheel truck.